Next up, let's solve some formulas. We call them also literal equations, and this could be anything off your formula sheet that's fair game. So trying to get a certain variable by itself, like in this first one, trying to get b by itself. And we're following the exact same rules that we followed before. In order to get b by itself, we're moving everything over. Now, this 1/2 out front, let's start with it. Since the 1/2 is being multiplied, we're going to move it over by dividing. Dividing by 1/2 is the same thing as flipping and multiplying by 2. To divide fractions, you flip and multiply. So I'm going to move it over by doing 2a equals h times a plus b, and we're looking for b. Now you have options. You could distribute here if you wanted to. Let's just go ahead, and since it's being multiplied, let's just move it over by dividing. So you now have 2a over h equals a plus b. And to get b by itself, we're now just simply moving the a, moving the term. You get 2a over h minus little a is equal to b. Next one, you're going to start it out kind of the same way. To get rid of this 4/3, since it's being multiplied, we're going to divide by 4/3, which is the way we're going to do that is flipping and multiplying. Next up, we can get rid of the pi by dividing. Now, let's be a little cautious here, because to divide by pi, that looks a little weird. We can kind of use the same trick we used on the last one. To divide by pi over 1, or to divide by pi, we can flip and multiply. So division by pi, or pi over 1, is the same thing as multiplying by 1 over pi. Same thing. So therefore, instead of showing it like that, let's multiply this side times 1 over pi, and that's going to give us 3v over 4 pi equals r to the third. Our final step, in order to get rid of a third power, we're simply going to find the third root, or the cube root. Next up, trying to get y by itself here, not y squared, but trying to get y by itself. So since we have fractions here, one way of doing this is we can find common denominators. In the first one, we're going to multiply top and bottom by b squared to get, so we have now b squared x squared over a squared b squared equals, or not equals, plus multiply top and bottom here by a squared, and that's going to be a squared y squared over a squared b squared. And multiply top and bottom here by both a squared and b squared. And that's going to, since the bottoms are all the same, now notice here that a cannot be 0 and b cannot be 0. Since the bottoms are all the same, we can now get rid of them. That gives us b squared x squared plus a squared y squared equals a squared b squared. And again, we're trying to get y by itself. So this term can very easily just be moved over. That's going to be a squared y squared equals a squared b squared minus b squared x squared. We just moved that term over. Last couple of steps, we're now just going to divide by a squared, since those are being multiplied. And to get rid of a square, we got to do plus and minus a square root. So let me come up here where I have a little bit more room. So y is going to equal plus and minus the square root of a squared b squared minus b squared x squared over a squared. If you would like to, you could clean that up a little bit. You could divide each of these by a squared and do different things, but I'm just going to leave it like that. All right, the last one. I'm going to try to get capital A by itself. Now, hopefully you notice this is the law of cosines. And I want to identify there are actually 4 terms here. The first thing I would do to get capital A by itself is by moving these 2 things. Since they're terms, since they're positive, change them to minuses. And that's equal to negative 2bc times the cosine of A. Next thing is, since these 3 things are being multiplied by cosine, I would just move them over by dividing. And that's got that going. Now the whole thing, since we've got the cosine of A, to move cosine, we can actually do the inverse cosine of the other side. Now notice I said of the other side, not just part of it. So make sure you put the other side in parentheses. And now you have a formula for finding capital A.